Good morning and welcome to Kippax. We're going to be doing another YouTube video today on a in-depth factory tour. So I'm going to take you through the full factory and the processes. If you want to follow me, we can go take a look. So this is our front office, not much to see here. A few sets of grips and stickers knocking about behind here, sink and a fridge, but we'll go have a look at the real stuff then if you want to come through here and follow me. So we'll start off by going upstairs and taking a look in our showroom. In the showroom we mainly stock 5 variants of adult bats. We've got the Sancta Grail, the Dragon, the Athena, and then we have our Players Editions, all the way around to some junior bats down at this end. In terms of softs and bags, we've got pads, gloves and bags, a few coloured pads. But yeah, we just try to keep it simple and easy in the showroom. A couple of players' signed shirts on the walls, a couple of signed bats and so on in the corner. In the other office here, it's more of a storage room across here. We keep whites and grips in here, nothing too fancy in here, but a few boxes of whites, a few boxes of grips, a couple of gloves and that. But yeah, this is just pretty much a storage office in here. So I'll start off in the corner here. We've got what we call the Engis. This is the finest sanding process we have after we've roughed and smoothed with Engis. I'll just give it a quick flick on now just so you can see the motion. Over to the wrapper. This is where we string our bats. I'm not going to string one, but I'll just show you again. So you can kind of get a grip and see. So this bat, it'll spin round and normally I'd just string it like that. Nice and simple. Over here, we've got the polisher. I've actually got a bat I need to polish, so I'll give it a quick run over for you. Just adding a bit of product to the polishing wheel. So over on this side now we've got the back sander, so we only have one sanding belt for this, so we have to change between rough and smooth when we're doing it. But for the front and edge sanders we've got 2 drums, one's a rough drum, one's a smooth drum, so obviously you start with a rough, finish with a smooth here. We've got quite an high-tech dust extractor here to help us when we're sanding. But yeah, it's pretty simple, one sanding here and 2 for the front and back. We've got some finished clefts there that are all graded, ready to be made into bats, not sold on. We have our planer, is the far side for planing the bats to width, and then we've got our bandsaw on this side which just helps cut with clefts, and we've got 2 different variations of jigs here. The other jig is the brown one there, I don't know if you can see at the back, that jig's for cutting handles on, so when we fasten it to here, we'll cut the handles on this side as well with this saw that just comes through. You can see the blade there, it's quite a sharp big blade. That cuts the handles and cuts the clefts to length. Can we have another look at that or?
Yeah, go for it. Show me one more time.
That's the blade that cuts our handle, so I'll show you the handles. We have two different types of handles. We have your traditional straight handle, which goes in, I'd say probably 99% of cricket bats around the world. And we have our WaveX handle, which we've got patented, which is designed for us. There is a video on YouTube if you want to know more about the WaveX handle. I'll put the link in the description for you to have a look at it. But yeah, that's so you see how it's cut there into shape. Let me find one that's not been cut. So if you have a look here, that's a handle before it's been cut on the saw, and then that's the handle after it's been cut, ready to fit into a bat. Over here we have the press. It's quite an old press, does its job. I'm not going to put a clef through on it before, we have done other videos on it, but I'll just press the button and you can see normally what you'll have is this clef here, for instance, will be on the bed. Then we'll adjust the pressure and we'll just put the clef through on that, and as you see the bed goes through. Once it's all the way through, it automatically comes back by itself. And then when it hits a certain point here, this bit here will hit that and release it and send it back through. From there you'll tap a ball on it and decide whether it needs any more pressure or not. Over here is my workbench, and this is where we do a lot of refurbs, a lot of fixes. There's a couple of refurbs that need doing at some point this week, but as you see we've got our saws, there's a heat gun, a couple of clamps, you know, there's glues, wedges, hammers. Got a couple of our tools and equipment here, but yeah, just as that's my workbench there for doing refurbs and fixes. So it's actually quite tidy today for a change. Over here we've got the rye, and the rye does quite a bit of cutting. If you can look down below, there's two what we call pineapple blades, on the left and one on the right, and that's for shaping the backs of the bat, so it takes a bit of the wood out of the bat before it comes through to the handcrafting side of stuff. Can't turn this on, it's quite noisy and loud and quite a big process, but we'll come over here. We've got some, since the last factory tour we did, we've had a bit of like what we call our loft put in. It's just a storage here. It's mainly got all of the stock for pads, gloves, coloured pads up there pretty much. It's just somewhere we can keep bulk stock of pads and gloves. At the moment we are currently cutting trees. It's a busy time of year, so over here we're on the last process of this week's tree cutting, which is waxing clefts. I'll come on to that in a bit more detail in a minute, but I'm going to go on to our kiln, which is probably our newest bit of kit. When I say new, it's probably still 6-year-old now. It's pretty dark in here, but I'll open it up and give you a look. It's empty at the minute, just waiting for clefts to go in. Normally when we fill it, it holds 14 pallets of clefts, normally between 11 to 1200 clefts at a time. If you can see the stack of clefts there that you're looking at now, that's about the height and size of going, so there's normally about 14 of them. But if you can come have a look, Nick, I'll just explain. Yep. So in the bottom right corner there, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there is a weighing scale. I don't know if you'll be able to pick that up, but there's a blue weighing scale in the bottom right corner. And what that is, that's replicating a pallet, and what it does is we've got some digital stuff on the other side, and whatever goes on that weighing scale tells us what the weight is as well. So I'll go into a bit more detail when I go around to the back of the machine for you to have a look at. Also, what we do...
What do you do there? Do you put a pallet on that?
No, so that is the pallet, so it's replicating a pallet, and what we'll do is, say there's 80 clefts on that pallet, there'll be 80 clefts on that weighing scale.
Okay.
So whatever that weighing scale weighs, we know that all the rest of the pallets should roughly weigh the same. So it gives us a lot more detail in that. Also here we do mark 2355, so what we do in the kiln, which I will show you around the back, is that we probe 5 different clefts in the centre, and then that gives us 4 different areas of the kiln that gives us a moisture reading. So when we're drying the clefts, by the time it comes to the end of the drying process, which could be 5 to 6 weeks, the cleft should wear, moisture-wise, should be anywhere from 8 to 12% moisture. So again, in 4 different areas, which is the second pallet in, the third pallet in, and fifth pallet inside the kiln, there will be probes. I'll take you around the back now and have a look at the back of the kiln. As you can see, as you're coming around, there's a couple of boilers and stuff. So what we tend to do when we fill the kiln, we sweat the clefts at first. So normally we keep the temperature very low, the humidity very high, and over the course of 5 weeks we kind of change it so at the end the humidity is very low and the temperature is like 50 degrees. We'll have a look at this bit of kit here. So normally when I turn this on, it'll probably say high 40 if I reset it now. But this is what tells us the temperature. So it's saying low at the minute, obviously because there's no moisture readings, because there's no clefts in there. But there's a little dial here and it's got 1, 2, 3 and 4 on it. And as when I flick this and press a button on it, it'll tell me the reading of each of the 4 clefts that I said that I'd probed to give us moisture readings. So when
it's quite scientific.
Yeah, so it gives us, I'll show you the old kiln outside, and when we used to do that, it was just like a finger in the air job. You didn't know how much any of them weighed, you didn't know what moisture was. So this allows us to get bigger, lighter clefts, which allows us to make bigger, lighter bats.
Cool.
As I was saying on the weighing scale, when we put stuff on, so this is the scale here, and this tells us the weight of the scale. Now it's currently reading at a negative because there's now on it, but this is where we can set a weight on here, what a target weight that we want to hit. So we normally know that, say there's 80 scales, you've then got 160 battens on that, tells us the weight, and we can divide that by 80, and that normally gives you what sort of weight you're looking for. So we can set a weight in here for a target weight, and then obviously this little pad here allows us to mess with the humidity and the temperature and stuff like that. So it's very in detail and it allows us to get bigger, lighter clefts. So the machine you can see over here is our big bandsaw. We have recently changed this, so this machine now does all 3 of our cuts. So you've got, on the other videos you can see it in a bit more detail that we've already got on YouTube, but here it does the face cut, the width cut, the back cut. As you can see, the plates here that we normally just add onto this machine here, and what we do, we'd stick a cleft on the machine, and when the saw's going, you just push it through and then bring it back and stack it. You know, this is a very important machine, and like we're saying, now that we've improvised and changed a bit, we've got rid of one of our other machines, and with the plates and that, we can do all 3 cuts on this one machine now. Next I'll show you, here's the waxing. So these ones here have already been waxed. As you can see, the colours on their end here has been waxed, and this is to stop when they're drying or waiting to be dried, it's to stop them splitting on the ends and that. I'll just grab a pair of around somewhere.
And is it a special sort of wax?
Yeah, so what the wax does here is that it expands, and that's when the clefts are sweated out, the clefts get bigger at the end, so the wax like goes with it, and then when they're dry, the clefts shrink a bit, and the wax shrinks with it as well. These ones here, they haven't been waxed yet, so I will show you inside there. As you can see, the wax is quite hot. Some buttons on it. What we do as well when we're stacking our clefts, we try to leave little gaps in between for airflow, and then that helps them dry quicker and faster. I'll dip one for us now and just show you what I mean by sealing the ends off. So what you do is just dip twice and give it a little spin. I'll look to see all the ends sealed. Dip this side again. What you've got to do is make sure the full end's sealed. Go on there. So I'll take you for a little look out in the yard now. We are currently cutting trees, so you can see there's a few off cuts either side of us landing, because this is where we chainsaw. As you can see, there's a few trees ready to cut. We'll be chainsawing again tomorrow. Next week we've probably got another 40 or 50 trees due in as well, so flat out at the minute. We'll go up and have a look towards the drying shed and stuff now. We've got our tractor here that we use for chainsawing. Over here we have bags of dust and bagged up cut timber, so we are looking to get our timber all kiln dried and then sold as firewood in the future, so we're looking to try and keep developing. When I was talking about the old kiln, well, that is the old kiln there. It's not in use as a kiln anymore, so it was literally just built as a container that we had a heating system put in and stuff, and now it's just used as storage. It might have like baggage in there and bat sleeves, bubble wraps and stuff like that, so don't use that anymore as the kiln. But as you can see in the summer when you're cutting trees, the bark tends to come off a lot. There's some trees down there without any bark on, and then there's a big pile of bark left over here that we will be cutting as well and drying to be used as firewood. We've got our empty crate here that we will be stocking our off-cut wood in from when we are sawing, and then these crates here are full. These are all waiting and ready to be chopped into size and then to be dried and sold. As we come up here, we have got what we call our drying shed. So the process between chainsawing and waxing, once they're waxed, all the clefts will come up here until they're ready to go into the into the drying room. As you can see, they're all stacked, waxed and ready to go. These are all different, so the ones at the back have already graded, the taller stacks, they're just stock. These are waiting to be dried in the kiln. I think there's 5 stacks and there'll be another 4 when I finish waxing. The kiln takes 14, so next week's batch, when that's done, the kiln will go on for 5 weeks and there'll be 11 to 1200 clefts in there. As you can see, we try space and leave little gaps just so the airflow is designed, because the way the wind goes, it comes through and down the yard, so it does dry them out quite a lot. But the old-fashioned way was to leave them like this and just leave them to dry. Take like a year at a time to dry a batch. So they're back in the day. Now we'll go over the road into the barn. We've got the other side. This is where Chris likes to do all his back making and back crafting.
So what's that, where he shapes?
Yeah, where he shapes parts, where he does his shoulders, splices the bats, cuts the toes, you know. All the stuff that you need to do to make a bat before it comes onto sanding.
And every bat has been touched by him, isn't it? It's been shaped.
Yeah, the full process. Every time it comes through him, through here and then back over here. Here's one little thing that I forgot to show you in the other side, which we'll finish over there when we've finished in here. But we'll go in and we'll go up to the right, because that's where his process starts when he brings bats over here. Luckily enough today I've got a few still in the nippers. So when I was talking about fitting bats, so they come over here, and this machine here is our splicer, and this splices out the splice ready for fitting the handle. As you can see here, all these are splices here that have been spliced out. So you'd put your cleft in or your bat in there, and then you take the hook off. And this saw would go around down, and when you take this off, you go down, and then that cuts the splice out of the bat.
Okay.
And then you can move it to the other side, it cuts out that side, like that. And then he'll fit the handle in, which is done with these. So these probably were fitted last night and left overnight, and these are what they're called the nippers here. We've got 2 sets. If we wanted, we could fit, I think each holds about 20, so we could fit 40 bats in there. But these are just waiting to be done. So what would happen here now is that you'd hammer the wedges out. When it comes to it, they come over to the spindle moulder, which is the machine I'm looking at now. And depending on how we wanted to cut the shoulders or the shape, it's got different jigs on the floor here. And this piece of kit here spins round, and it'd shape it with the jig, and it'd cut the shoulders out. And then it'd come onto the toe cutter. So you'd place your bat in here. It's got different sizes here, so he knows where to line them up, and then when this blade's going around, as you can see there, for example, that's a toe over. It's been cut off to length, so you'd place your shoulder in line with whatever size you wanted, and then you just bring this across here like that. As you can see, it'd cut the toe of the bat into the shape of a cricket bat there. And for example, that was like the cleft before making this cut the toe there. As you can see, the grains running through it. We go over, we've got a few bits of tools that are either side here that walk for de-nibbing and that, but over here is Chris's main bench. There's a lot going on in it. You've got different tools, Got spokes, you know, you've got everything here that bat maker needs. He's even a little bit traditional where he wears his bats on this sometimes, you know, when he's shaping, rather than having proper scales. But we've got two different vices here, clamps, that you've got everything that he needs, you know, to do it. Glues, all the lot of tools. Over here he's got a sand belt, so once he's got to the last process here, this will be to clean the shoulders up. So for instance, there's two bats here that are in for refurb. Once he's sorted the splices out on them, come over here on here, when this is on, he'll just clean the shoulders up and shape the shoulders with that to finish, a nice neat finish on there. But yeah, this is where all the magic happens really, with the shaping of the toes and the edges and the handles. But we'll go over the road now. I'll show you our climate room, which I forgot to show you, which is quite an important piece of kit. The climate room allows, it's pretty much room temperature, in the winter slightly warmer. It allows us to keep, because what happens in here in the winter, it gets so cold that all bats, all clests take on moisture and weight. So when they're in here, they keep them at room temperature, allows us to store clests.
So they absorb weight from the climate?
Yeah, so when it's damp in the air
right.
through the winter and it, you know, it gets to -degrees and it's really cold, but in the summer it's the opposite, like it's really hot in here. So just follow me. I'll let you have a look. There should be some finished bats in here, some unfinished bats in here, some flesh that are ready to go on the rye, some flesh that have been on the rye. But in here, turn the light on. It keeps everything at room temperature, so nothing gains weight and nothing loses sort of weight. As you can see, there's some bats that are already prepped, ready for stickering. There's some bats that are already stickered. If I look, there's actually no tufts in here, but there's a lot of pre-shapes. So these have already all, for instance, gone through the rye, been shaped, and now they only need splicing and fitting, like I said, over the road. We've already all got the weights on the bottom here, so we know when we come to fit these what sort of weights roughly they are all going to finish when they're stickered and gripped. But yeah, this is quite an important bit of kit, mainly in the winter, so it stops everything from taking on too much moisture and weight. So that's pretty much the end of the factory tour. We've covered everything. If anyone's got any questions, want to know anything else, you know, if I've missed anything out, feel free to comment and ask. But thank you for watching, and feel free to like and subscribe.